I have the Monorim V2 suspension, as you can see. I have that a good few weeks now. The reason why I got it is because if you missed out on my 17-kilometer test video that I done testing the custom firmware, the battery on the Xiaomi Pro that I have here, you would have seen that some of the roads are a little bit shaky. There's a good few bumps in between. That's one of the reasons why I actually got the suspension in the first place. What I'm going to be talking about today is basically the pros and cons to having this suspension. So I'm going to start off with the good things, things that I really like about this suspension. One of the things about this is that if you're kind of aged like me, well, I'm not old really by any means, is that I got this suspension because of my bones. So on that 17-kilometer trip, you didn't hear me in pain, but I'm telling you now, I definitely did feel it along the way. Definitely softens the blow. Ever since I put the suspension on, it's been absolutely brilliant. The aches and pains are more or less gone from my bones. Now I'm going to be doing another upgrade soon. Keep an eye out for that video. I think you all know what it's going to be. It's not the 10-inch wheel, but it's going to be something else. If you are considering getting a suspension, if you go on long commutes like me, I go on 35-kilometer, 26-kilometer round trips. That's the reason why I got the suspension. If you're only going a couple of kilometers up the road, you may be able to just tolerate those bumps and everything else that you face along the way. I'm telling you, it's definitely one of the best investments you could make for your Xiaomi. Another good thing about the Monorim V2 suspension is that it's actually quite easy to install. Now some of you might be a little bit worried about how to install this, and you know, you might be saying that you can't do it. Well, you can do it because I actually done an installation video already. So that's going to be linked in the top right corner of this video, and it's going to be linked in the description at the end of it. So click on it at the end if you're curious about how to actually fit this. But to be honest, if you take your time and if you have the correct tools, you can hands down put this suspension on in around a 2-hour mark. You might be saying 2 hours is very long to be fitting suspension, but I'm telling you, it pays off absolutely massively. I actually just want to address something. A few people said on Facebook and stuff like that, why would you spend money putting suspension on a scooter when you can easily just go out and buy a scooter that has front suspension, dual suspension? My answer to that is that I personally like doing modifications, and if you're like me, you like to challenge yourself, you like to fit things yourself, and at the end of the day, the suspension it wasn't expensive at all. Like the scooter sent me back when I bought it way back at the start of this year, it didn't set me back that much money. I know they've gone up in price since then because of their popularity. Definitely to anybody out there, look, the Xiaomi Pro is an absolute great scooter. It hasn't let me down or anything like that at all. So don't be worried about the people that are saying you're wasting your money. Why don't you just go out and buy a higher end scooter? Because sometimes we don't have that luxury. You know, I just do this as a hobby. So money, you know, I don't have over €1,000 to spend on a scooter that has dual suspension and, you know, high wattage and everything else. So that's one of the reasons why I got this scooter, and because of the reviews and all the parts and everything else you can buy. I've done so many modifications to this scooter. Can you name a scooter that you can put your own custom firmware on as easily as you can in the Pro? I think it looks absolutely brilliant. Custom firmware, suspension. The Monorim are actually bringing out a rare suspension for these quite soon. I actually think it's out already. There's a few people stocking them already. I think you kind of have a template at the back. You have to drill a couple of holes and then it extends the back. And personally, I won't really be doing that. Well, I don't plan on doing that, to be honest, but you know, who knows. Another thing that I actually like about the suspension, you might not actually know about this, is that you can actually change the front red chamber on these, or the black, whichever one you got. You can actually change it to an air shock. Now, I said this already, I'm going to be investing in one of the air shocks because they're supposed to be even more better for going over bumps and everything else. So I'm gonna have to order one of them, do my research into which one is the best and stuff like that. By the way, if you actually have the suspension, comment below, have you actually put the air shock on? I'm curious to get feedback on them and what types of models you guys are getting. All is going great so far. Now we're gonna get on to the cons about this suspension. So a lot of people asking, do they give problems? What's the quality like overall? And I already covered the installation, which is pretty simple, so that's a piece of cake really. One of the cons about this suspension is that it weighs just under the 2 kilo mark, around 1.6 kilos. Now you might be saying that's not too bad actually, which it isn't. The downside of it is that you might, if you live in an apartment for example, you are basically gonna have to lug this up the stairs if you don't actually have the luxury of a lift. And you might be saying, what's the other cons, Glenn? I have no other cons, guys. It's only the weight. I'm just gonna address the fact that people are saying they're not the best of quality. I think hands down they're absolutely fantastic quality. It seems really solid. It's very rugged. There's another suspension that's after coming on the market. It's basically a dual shock suspension. So I know a few people have gotten it, but it doesn't at the moment now. I don't think I'll be getting it anytime soon to try it out, because the reviews are not really, I don't think there's not a lot of reviews out there. So for now I'm going to stick to the Monorim V2 suspension, and who knows, in the future the Monorim might bring out their own dual suspension to compete with the new one that's just after coming on the market. So listen, if you guys are curious about this suspension, just get it. You won't regret it. It would have to be one of the best upgrades I've ever done. One of the, you know, I know they're not that expensive. So, and you're gonna notice it big time, guys. I promise you. If you don't like it, well, I'll be surprised. No, you are gonna like it. You're definitely hands down gonna like it. So if you like this video, do give it a like, share it with any of your friends, subscribe if you like Xiaomi videos. But listen, stay safe on your scooter as always. I'm trying not to fall here. And yeah, guys, I'll talk to you in the next video.